So I wanted to give you a quick and real look at what it looks like to move the family overseas. I'm sitting on a suitcase right now as of filming this, so it is wild, to say the least. It is quite wild times, and yet the Lord is faithful, and somehow things have been working out. I was describing it to my friend recently, and he was like, hey, you should just turn on the camera and just put that down, just as an insight, just as like a marker of where you're at. I was telling him about how as much as it's been so refreshing being back, I think both my wife and I felt so much confirmation that this is where God wants us. There's been a few things that have just been like, ooh, wait. Like some things that have caused me to doubt, like, is this where I'm supposed to be? As well as a lot of things that have like confirmed, yes, this is absolutely it. So the verse that came to mind when I was chatting with my friend was where Jesus is on the water, walking out to the disciples on the water, while the disciples are in the boat. And Peter calls out to him and says, if it's really you, then tell me to come to you. Jesus says, come. And then Peter steps out of the boat and he's walking on the water until he starts looking at the wind and the waves, and he starts sinking, and he says, Lord, help me. And that is like perfect analogy, I think, of where we're at, because God totally confirmed us coming to Cambodia. And I felt like it was like, Lord, if you want us to go, please confirm it, allow it to happen, you know? And so we took that leap of faith, and God has totally been meeting us in all of these things. And I think that that's, as the life of adventure, life of faith, is like you're taking those steps where you're saying, like, Lord, if this is you, then like confirm it. And then he does, then we have to go, we have to step, we have to act, whatever it is. You know, even if it's not moving to the other side of the world, there's probably some sort of step of faith that I feel like God's always calling me to something. So anyway, after we stepped out, then there's just been things like back in America, especially like surprise car payment that's like thousands of dollars. That's like, don't know how that's gonna work out. But God has provided, and God somehow worked out the plane tickets, somehow worked out the details and all these other details that we have to kind of wrap up back in the States as we transition here. It's a little bit of a headache, but at the same time, again, it's like, where is my focus? Like even my daughter, was first few days back, was just crying a lot. It's just hard with the transition, right? Especially the jet lag and whatnot, and not much sleep, and everything's new, language is new and stuff like that. And sometimes she's like adapting great, and then sometimes she just gets stuck crying like a lot. And I just hadn't seen her cry that much in a long time. And so there's just things that make me question, like, what am I doing to my family, you know? And so I just putting this out there just to remind you that the most important thing, at least I feel like it is for me, is just focusing back on, like, was I called? And if I was called, did I act on it? And if I acted on it, am I keeping my eyes on Jesus rather than the wind and the waves? That's right now. It's a big mix of like some amazing confirmations from Jesus, as well as like a lot of wind and waves. And depending on which I focus on, it depends on if I feel like I'm actually walking on the water, or if I'm totally sinking, and crying out to Jesus, like, help me. That's actually kind of interesting, because a lot of my prayers when I feel overwhelmed have been like, Lord, help me, Lord, help me. And maybe it's good for refinement, for humility, but maybe it's also that I'm focusing so much on the wind and the waves rather than the person who called me, right? So anyway, wanted to give this, hope it's encouraging to you, hopefully it's useful for you. Just wanted to be real about the chaos here and in here, so that hopefully it'll be of benefit to you if you're encountering that. So it's life, it's an adventure. In the meantime, pray with Timpo.